Hey Sozo Kids team, if you're watching this tutorial, you are getting ready to jump in to our Sozo Kids preschool class. Alright, I'm excited to have you as part of the team. This tutorial is going to help you get familiarized with your classroom space, your supplies, your curriculum, and what age you will be serving with. So our preschool class currently is pre-K and K, so ages 3 to 5 plus kindergarten. And we meet right here in the kids wing in room 6. So you guys are by the purple jellyfish in the hallway. This is Mrs. Phillips' classroom during the school year. One thing to note, this is a shared classroom space. So during the summer, there's not quite as much activity going on, but during the rest of the year, we are sharing the class with Heritage. So keep that in mind. We always want to make sure our class is pristine and ready for the next group. But let's jump in. Let me walk you through the classroom, kind of show you the layout of what things look like. I'll show you where you can find some supplies, walk through curriculum, and all of that good stuff. All right, so room 6 is the classroom we use. Right now it is currently set up for school tomorrow. There's a lot of fun things going on here. So normally when you walk in, tables will be cleaned, chairs will be stacked, things like that. But here is your classroom space. Again, because this is a shared space, we do want to be mindful of some of the things that are strictly for preschool. This bin over here is typically closed up, and that is preschool only. The filing cabinet in the back is also preschool curriculum and things like that, so we do not need to be going in there. But all of the cabinets that are unlocked on the bottom, and then all the drawers are shared space and things we can use. So I'll walk you through those in just a moment. Over here we do have an adjoining bathroom to the classroom next door. So while your kiddos are in class, they can freely use the restroom. But let me walk you through our cupboard space here. Okay, so most of these cabinets are locked because again, it's preschool supplies and we do not need access to those during the week. However, or during the weekend, excuse me. These last 3 cabinets on the bottom are Sozo Kids. So we do keep things stocked in here, extra garbage bags, sanitizer, wipes, some of our cleaners, things like that. Our disposable gloves for cleaning. This is our prize basket. And then we keep some extra cups, tissues, and paper bags. All right, now moving up top to the drawers. This is stuff that is open for everyone to use. We have recently revamped this so that everything is labeled with pictures and words so that kids and adults can find everything. So in here we've got extra batteries, cleaning, first aid. This is where you can find our classroom Bibles and praise and worship DVDs. We use our praise and worship DVDs up in the TV and DVD player. All right, we've got some teacher supplies. This is typically stocked with stickers, pens, tape, things that the students don't need access to, but you might use on a weekly basis. Okay, general classroom supplies. Over here we have lots of crayons. Kids can share baskets of those. Markers and colored pencils. And then down here in these last 2, we've just got assorted papers and plain paper. And then 9 is just kind of a catch drawer. We haven't cleaned that one out, so we don't use that one. Pretty much class-wise, that is everything you need to know. As far as setup and tear down, 9 o'clock team, when you arrive, this classroom will be totally cleaned up, so you will be responsible for pulling out chairs, making sure the class is set up, opening blinds if you want those open, and then pulling out our supply bins as well. And I'll show you where that's at next. And then 11 o'clock class, you will be responsible for cleaning everything up and making sure this room is super pristine and ready to go. As I was mentioning, the 9 o'clock team will be responsible for setup and 11 o'clock for teardown. So let me walk you guys through where you can find all of your supplies for a general Sunday morning. Okay, so our free time activity bins, we actually right here in the nursery. So we do try to get these off the floor before the littles come in. So 9 o'clock team, you can take one or both, but we do want to get that second bin off the floor. Typically we just use one classroom bin. Either one, it doesn't really matter, but if we should have a guest speaker that goes long and we don't have time to sanitize toys in between services, we do want to switch those bins out so that kids are playing with fresh, clean toys, and then the 9 o'clock team can still have time to sanitize and clean up the first service. But, so these are all of your free time activities. There are dolls, puzzles, games, cars, toy animals, coloring, all that good stuff. So you'll find these here. And then coming back out into the hall, behind the nursery counter, we actually store all of our supplies. Okay, so right under here, so we're directly behind the nursery counter. This first door here is for preschool. The door next to it is nursery materials, okay? So we'll open this up. And right now there's a little more in here than normal, and that is okay. So 9 o'clock class, you will be responsible for grabbing the gray bin as well as the green bin on top. Well, currently there's a second bin in here because we have prepared the summer curriculum. So once summer hits, there will only be one of these gray bins, but there will also be a clear plastic tote. Okay, I'll explain that in just a second. But this gray bin has, if I can open it here. This gray bin has, in the first file, it's got your lesson book, and then each file behind it is corresponding with the appropriate week, okay, of activities, craft things, things like that. You have your weekly posters, and then in the green basket, like I said, some of this is a little bit extra today, but this weekend's activity calls for yarn and some construction paper. So we put extra materials in here like this. Now, the difference for the summer is we will have one gray bin in here, and there will be a clear plastic tote. That plastic tote is actually going to have the extra supplies that you will need for things like yarn, construction paper, bags, whatever it might be, everything for the months of June through August. I am going to be out on leave for a little bit this summer, so this is going to be just a clear bin that everyone can use. They can find the materials they need for the week, and then just make sure that you're putting it back in there. Make sure it's clean and tidy so that everyone can find it and it's not a hot mess. We just don't want our stuff to be a hot mess. This is your curriculum. We'll walk through what curriculum looks like here in a little bit. And then again, 11 o'clock team, just put your materials back and you're good to go. On the opposite side of the nursery counter here, we do have some other drawers and cupboards that you'll want to know about. So let me walk you through these just so you've got a quick brief of what's going on in here. So in the classroom, you saw our prize basket. So all of this under here and in here are prize restocks. Okay, there's a lot of plushies. So these are prize restocks. When your prize bin is starting to get low, please come refill it. Or if you want to come take a look before class and you're like, hey, we have a ton of plush, let's just do a plush day and everybody gets a plush. Fantastic. If it's maybe a puzzle day, you're like, hey, everybody gets a puzzle in one of our services. You can do that, but those are for you to refill that bin because as it gets low, yeah, you'll want to do that. Up here in the second drawer, we have extra classroom bags. These are the take-home bags that kids can take home their crafts and take-home pages in. Down below that, we have kind of some snack supplies. We've got cups, plates, napkins, Ziplocs, things like that. So you can find those here. Last but not least, if you just need a quick pen or something, this is not to restock your classroom, but this is just, hey, I'm helping a parent, or hey, I need a quick pen. We have some supplies here for that. And then just below this is our snack cupboard. Okay, we restock these for the quarter. So if it's starting to run low, you know, try to get the same snack for all of your kiddos. As we get toward the end of the quarter, you may have to mix and match and just let kids choose. Applesauce is a great snack if kids have allergies. So that is always okay for our allergy kiddos. And yeah. Everything else behind the counter on that side is going to be for heritage staff, but otherwise everything else you can go through and find what you need. Okay, so one other place that you might need to access some extra supplies would be in the back closet of the multi-purpose room. Okay, that is typically open each Sunday because we do use it for our elementary class. And so I'll typically go through regularly and make sure the class is restocked with glue sticks, tape, things like that. But in the chance that I'm not here and you're running low on a supply, feel free to head to the multi-purpose room closet. Everything is labeled in some small plastic totes. So you walk in on your right side, it's all classroom supplies, and you can pull and use anything in there. There's plenty to restock your class and for the elementary class that uses it as well. All right, so walking through a quick flow of service. In all of our classes, we have pretty close to the same flow of service, just for consistency for our kids, so that as they kind of age up, the flow of their class is very similar. So kids come in, we've got check-in running from 15 minutes before service to 15 minutes after. So during that time, kids can have free time and play, make sure there's an adult to greet them at the door, things like that. And then after that free time, you can transition into your classroom time. Now, in your curriculum books, there's a ton of material. Okay, I'll show you that in a little bit, but you can use activities, there's a lot of stuff, so make sure you're going through that. Typically after free time, we will open in prayer, do some worship tunes, again with that DVD player, and just some tunes there that kids love and enjoy. And then we'll transition into our lesson time. Lesson time can consist of the lesson, a craft, a supplemental activity, things like that. And in just a minute here, I'm going to walk through the curriculum and show you everything there is to offer. And yeah, just give you some guidance on that. So once lesson is done, these kiddos do have a short attention span, so you might not have them for the whole service, and that's okay. So, you know, piece together, do what you can, and then at the end, kids can have free time, or when the weather's really nice, we do have our tot lot just outside, so you can exit down the hall to the very end. Just make sure you prop that door open or it will lock behind you, and the tot lot is just right outside those doors. So that's a great option, especially when the weather's good. So keep that in mind. But let's go ahead, jump over and take a look at our curriculum. Okay, so as I mentioned, you can find your teacher book here in the front of your classroom bin. And just for reference, we're gonna look at last week's lesson. So when you get your teacher book, it's gonna have all the pages pre-highlighted. And these are activities that I have selected based on the age of kiddos that we serve right now, their abilities, and then just what craft supplies we do have on hand. So as you can see, there's many different parts, and it's very likely that you won't make it through all of these things. That is perfectly okay. You as the teacher have the opportunity to kind of piece together what you think you want to use. As you get to know the kids, you kind of know what works for them and what doesn't. So we do want to make sure we get the lesson time in, so studying God's Word, and then some sort of supplemental piece just to reinforce it. It could be the craft, it could be the applying God's Word, things like that. So learning God's Word is usually some sort of opening activity, easily swappable with the craft time as well. Bible time, again, craft. The second activity, you'll see this later in your book, but it's really just kind of retelling the story, but engaging the kids with it as well. And then applying God's Word and living God's Word are pieces that make it a practical application for your kids. Sometimes it's review questions, other times it's another sort of visual or interactive activity to kind of show them what this lesson might look like in their lives. So everything is highlighted here. Posters and pictures and things like that will again be in the week's file. And then any additional craft supplies that you might need, like paper plates or craft sticks, things like that, will be in that clear tote that I talked about for the summer. Yeah, so preschool is a ton of fun. I hope you guys, as you jump in and get to know the kids, begin to enjoy it. We love serving our kids here at Sozo, and if you have any other questions, please feel free to contact me, and I'm happy to support you. Thanks so much for joining us.